The Housemaid is a psychological thriller film co-produced and directed by Paul Feig. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And it's based on the 2022 novel, also titled The Housemaid. And the film stars Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Seyfried, and Brandon Skelenar, and Elizabeth Perkins, who I just that or like her appearance completely caught me off guard. I was surprised by her appearance. But it's great to see Elizabeth. But anyway, the film, the plot follows a young woman with a troubled past, Sydney Sweeney, who becomes the live-in housemaid for a wealthy family, a couple, which is Amanda and Brandon's characters, and their seemingly perfect life unravels when she discovers their household hides dark secrets. All right, so this movie. So, going into this movie, this movie is directed by Paul Feig. And if you haven't looked up his resume, which I did, I haven't seen every single movie directed by Paul. The one that I was very fond of that I enjoy. It's not great, but I know it's not a great movie, but I enjoyed it. It was a pretty solid movie, which was and that movie was The Heat with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock. I enjoyed that movie. You know, I thought Melissa McCarthy was funny in The Heat, and Sandra Bullock is smoking hot in that film. And then he also directed the female Ghostbusters movie, and I do not want to talk about that. Also starring Melissa McCarthy, and and he also directed this not a good movie. This weird uh jackpot movie that I watched on Amazon with John Cena and Aquafina, directed by Paul Feig. And I wasn't a big fan of that, but when it comes to his directing, the two movies that I found that people really enjoyed him from is Spy with Melissa McCarthy, also Melissa McCarthy, and Jason Statham, Rose Byrne, um, and Jude Law. So it seems like critics really enjoyed Spy, Paul Feig's Spy, and A Simple Favor. But the thing is, I haven't seen A Simple Favor, and I haven't seen Spy, but I'm sure those movies are good. But like his movies are really like mediocre. He's directed Spy and A Simple Favor, and those two movies are really good. Everything else that he's directed is mediocre, or or something bad, like that fucking Netflix movie that he directed. I forgot the name of it. It was, I feel like it was very recent. Good and Evil, The School of Good and Evil, something Good and Evil, whatever. And also that awful, terrible female Ghostbusters movie. But yeah, like going into this movie, I was unsure because of his directing. But I gotta say, I had some free time um, earlier this week, so I decided, why not? This movie is based on a novel. This movie is coming, I was thinking to myself earlier this week, I was thinking to myself, this movie is coming soon. This movie is coming soon. I have some extra time to spare. So why not? So I sat down and I read the book. I sat down and I read the book. It took me, well, it took me like just a couple days. Well, it took me a good amount of time. It took me just enough time to read to finish the book, because as soon as I finished the book, I was just, and without going to spoilers, I was just so, that movie, the book is filled, there's a lot of plot, there's two big plot twists in the book that really got me. Well, I guess you could say maybe just one, but I feel like there's like more than one plot twists in the novel, without going to spoilers, that really got me, and it hooked. I was hooked. I was instantly like hooked, and I loved it. And I loved it, and it was great. And like reading the book and just imagining, all this description and all these details, like in my head, like adapting into this movie that I'm about to see at the end of the week. It's just, I'm like, I can't wait to see this, and I saw it, and it's great. This movie is great, guys. The Housemaid is definitely it's definitely right up there with, when it comes to Paul Feig's directing. I would put this movie. This is probably my favorite one. I mean, this is my only favorite one because I haven't seen Spy with Jason Statham, Rose Byrne, and Jude Law, and um, I haven't seen A Simple Favor, which both of those movies, Spy and A Simple Favor, are two movies directed by Paul Feig that critics really love. That's got a lot of positive reviews. This might top that. This might top that. I mean, if you guys seen Spy or A Simple Favor, the first Simple Favor, because I know there's a sequel that recently came out, that I heard didn't do so good compared to the first one. But I heard the first Simple Favor and the Spy movie were really good, and it's got a lot of good reviews compared to like his other movies that he's directed. But I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll watch those movies. But like, guys, this Housemaid movie, like I said, I was reading the book. I had extra time, and I had extra time, I sat down, I read the book, finished it in a couple of days, just in time before this movie. Just when I was about to go out and watch this movie in theaters, I was just blown away with the plot twists in both the book, but also in this movie, which they did a great job adapting. And it's just great. And I just gotta say, Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Seyfried, Brandon, like all these actors did, all these three main primary actors did a great job, acting the hell out in this movie. But Jesus fucking Christ. Amanda Seyfried's performance in this movie is just extraordinary. It's like on another level. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to Brandon or Sydney Sweeney, but like Amanda Seyfried completely stole the show. Like she was able to portray this woman who has, there's something going on with Amanda Seyfried's character. If you've seen the trailer, there's something mysterious and secretive going on with surrounding Amanda's character. Without going to spoilers, it's just mind blowing, and she was able to capture all that. I was just in awe with her performance, and I just love the cast performances in this film. Paul did an amazing job with this directing. The plot twists, if you haven't read the book, I will say, and if you haven't read the book, which I just recently did, like this past week, no joke, if you haven't read the book and you're going into this movie completely blind, I 100% guarantee you the plot twists in this movie, there's a couple of them, will get you. And it will shock you, and it will surprise the hell out of you, like it would have done if I hadn't read the book. If I hadn't read the book, And I just love how fun this movie is. I love the pacing. This movie is, I believe, I looked this movie up. This movie is 2 hours and 11 minutes, I believe. It didn't feel like that. It was flying by. Like the time, the pacing really felt, it really flew by, and I wasn't checking my watch. I wasn't yawning. I wasn't bored. It just flew by and it was over. And then the next thing I knew, the movie was over and that's it. And I was like, wow, this movie is so fun. This movie was so much fun, and I enjoyed the plot twists and the performances and Paul's directing in this movie. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Um, it's a throwback to the old thriller movies, and there's so many multiple like layers in this movie that dominates it so well. um and it's a nice thriller movie, with a sense of fun, and it's delightful. And Amanda Seyfried's performance in this movie is mysterious and unnerving and awkward and just uncomfortable. She's putting Sydney Sweeney in the most uncomfortable positions and situations, and I just can't. I just can't. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to say with The Housemaid. I really enjoy the hell out of this movie, and I feel like going back into the theater and watching this movie again. I haven't. I'd rather watch. To be honest with you, I love Avatar: Fire and Ash. I thought Avatar: The Fire and Ash was a pretty good, solid movie. I mean, it's weaker. It's the weaker film in the so far trilogy of the Avatar movies, but it's still a pretty enjoyable, solid movie. But if I had to choose between Avatar: Fire and Ash or The Housemaid, I choose The Housemaid. Because like I said, it's not the movie's 2 hours and 11 minutes, but it doesn't feel like that. Maybe for you it might, but for me it didn't, because the pacing was so fast, and it was nice, and it flew by really fast, man. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time to listen to my review, my thoughts on The Housemaid. Please like and subscribe. Definitely subscribe, because that will help me and my YouTube channel out a lot. Thank you, you guys. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.